Now, business or relationship?
Should couples really go into business together? It's hard to find your life partner, but if you can imagine that this person could be your business partner as well, how beautiful would it be?
Yeah, and that's why let's talk beyond the surface.
Let's do it!
Welcome, guys, to the new episode of Let's Talk Beyond the Surface, the podcast, the show that you're gonna feel, hear, see a lot about what happened behind the surface of a couple actually working together, doing their own business, and so on and so forth, right?
Yes.
So, in this episode, I've actually read something really interesting by a guy called Neil Simon, something like this, and he said that in a way that a lot of personalities now, of your personality now, is formed before you're 12.
100%.
Can you
yeah.
imagine?
Yeah.
So in this episode, we want to talk about more exactly what was your childhood, what was my childhood, what was our childhood that actually affected who we are now and what are we doing now, right?
Yeah, let's see if we can confirm
Exactly.
this, right?
Exactly.
Because when I read it as well, I was totally able to confirm that.
True. So the point is that there's a lot of people that we tend to see them successful. I wouldn't call myself and us at some level like reached that level because we have a big vision, yet we're not there yet.
Yes.
But we're going to work on it, changing the world, impacting a lot of people
100%.
and so on and so on.
It takes time.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things that people see on social media. You hear, you read about them on the magazines, you see them on TV, and they're successful, but you don't know exactly what they've been through,
100%.
whether it's good things or bad things, how their childhood were like, and so on and so on. So the most interesting part of it is like, if we get to see that you and myself are starting our own business, knowing that I think most of the people who's listening to this podcast is having almost exactly the same situation environment that we have. But let's just dive in more in details. What is exactly your childhood, Ashkam, and what is exactly happened there that made you what you are now? Like, how do you see it from your perspective? And maybe I can
Deep
confirm
question,
that.
huh?
Yeah.
It's a really deep question. I mean, opening up about your childhood, and I would say sometimes it's tough to say it, but it is small traumas that we lived through that made us who we are.
True.
That limited some beliefs that we have and formed our character and our personality.
Limited beliefs like what?
I mean, I should maybe start it, limited beliefs of seeing actions that some adults in our life did and then putting this picture into your life and believing that this is what will happen. Like, for instance, my parents are divorced.
Yeah.
So when I was younger, I didn't want to get married because my belief into this was not that strong. And working on this limited belief or this belief that is not correct, something that you decide to do, right?
True.
Because it's a wrong picture, and it's not that this picture had to be. I mean, it's not just my parents that are divorced or separate. There's a lot of different children.
True.
It's a way to get along with it, right?
Yeah.
And not meaning that I had any disadvantages from it. Like, for instance, I grew up in a small village, and my mom took care of me and my brother by herself, and she managed everything. She was my mom and dad. So I didn't suffer from it. But what I found sad is seeing that my mom doesn't have a partner to back her up.
Yeah.
And then thinking about how hard it was for her as well, trying to do the right thing, trying to make it perfect.
Yeah.
And to my childhood, I mean, just to give a picture about it, I grew up in a really small village. Not nobody, but I would say I'm like 60 kilometers away from Frankfurt, and it's really small. In the village, there's like 1,800 people living or something like this. And we were with a few different families, the only Turkish-rooted family as well.
Okay.
because
In
I need to
Germany.
say that exactly in Germany, in this village.
Yeah.
Back then, I need to highlight that because I grew up with my mom and my grandparents that taught me a lot about my culture as well, and not forgetting my roots, which I'm really proud about as well. And yeah, my mom, she worked and she took care of me and my brother, as I said. So if I would ask myself what this taught me, was this dedication that she had and the energy she got and how she transformed it into her actions. So being this strong woman, protecting her children and pushing them forward to be a better person than, or have a better life than she had it. Because my grandparents came to Germany in the 70s to work. So my mom was like 11 when she came to Germany, not knowing the
Yeah.
language and everything. So I'm really thankful for this chance as well that I got, not taking this as granted, because it was a chance for me to change my life.
Yeah.
And I always saw it like this as well, to make my family proud.
Exactly. Can I put some
Yeah.
context into this, so that we link it to each other? So
Sure.
I've we've been together now we're going to 8 years now.
Yeah.
We've been married for
Alhamdulillah.
3 years now. We have our own business, so there's like an extreme limits that we went beyond the limit of a couple who's working in a 9 to 5 job. So we're seeing a different limit now. So one of the things that I see about you is one being so freaking dedicated into something. Like if you want to do it, you have to do it. And the one thing that it's into that, I think there's a lot of people be like, yeah, that's me and so. But there's one thing in that as well, that if you want to do it, you want to do it as perfect
Yeah.
as it should be.
I
you
think
know?
I can honestly say that as well. Dedication is good, but if you over exceed the border, if it goes too much, then you need to find a way to balance it out as well.
Yeah.
Because if you have this dedication, you see your goal and the goal is there and you just focus on it, right?
True. But
Making sure, yeah.
that's not my question yet.
Oh,
My
okay.
question is, what is the only thing? What happened
Mm-hmm.
before you're 12, as Neil Simon said? What happened before you're 12, or even whatever, when you're
Oh,
like a teenager?
Going really deep.
No, I mean, like, seriously, what happened that you got to the point that you are dedicated? Because perfectionist,
Yeah.
sometimes it could be good, sometimes it's not that good,
Yeah.
because it plays a big role into the things that you do and stuff. So what is the only thing that you did? What made you...
I believe it was really to give my mom back all the efforts that she did. And I believed, or I saw it, to make it as good, to give it back to her.
Okay.
Making sure here, that's not what she expected me to do. But I just saw how hard she did all of this, how
Yeah.
hard she fought for me, how hard she pushed me forward. So I didn't want to let her, to make her feel like, oh no, not saying that she did that. She was always proud, no matter what I did. But I just wanted to give her everything I had.
Okay.
And that was like pushing me forward to do the maximum that I can do.
Mm.
So that's why, that's what gave me the power to rush for it and to go into it. So I believe that's where it came from. And it's something that we need to work on. It's something that my mom worked on with me as well, saying that it doesn't need to be perfect and that she's proud no matter what.
Yeah, because that's one of the things. There's a lot of things that could happen in your childhood and when you were a kid and
Yeah.
stuff, and it has, it's like a double side coin.
Yeah,
there's
for
a
sure.
side that might be good. There's a side that might actually ruin your life.
100%.
And one of the things that I see is definitely something happened. I'll talk about myself now in a bit.
Yeah.
That it actually made your life the way it is formed now,
For sure.
which is related to dedication. But what are the things that you see, or the things that happen in your life and in your childhood, that you wished in a way that it didn't happen, and in a way that it affected your way of dealing with things now as you've grown up?
I wish that my mom had a partner like I have it now.
Yeah.
Seeing that there's people taking over tasks, because I think you can approve it. I'm somebody who tries to solve everything by herself.
Yeah.
And that's because I saw my mother doing everything by herself because there was nobody.
Yeah.
So having somebody to support you and accepting help and asking for help is something that you need to learn. And I want to say it, everything that we had in our childhood, not because our parents told us to do so or our environment told us to do so, something that we told us that we need to do is something that we need to work on. True. We are forming our own life. We are forming our own personality and character. And I honestly need to say that in our relationship, we are working on the traumas that we lived in our childhood because
True.
we don't want our children to have these traumas as well. We don't want to give this to them unconsciously thinking that everything is good.
True.
Because we all have something in our childhood that left a crack or whatsoever. Yeah. Not meaning that our environment and parents wanted to do it. So, I mean, you had a lot of cracks as well that we worked on, right? True. I mean, you grew up in a smaller, I don't want to call it, it's a city, but still, the opportunities that you had weren't that much there, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, if I want to revert this question to myself, I grew up in a family that it has a lot of fights. Okay, so my mom and my dad, they always had fights. I mean, it was just like a normal family fight. Mm-hmm. And of course,
which belongs to a relationship, by the way.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. And from that perspective,
well, wait, I want to say discussions more than fights.
Oh yeah, discussions. Yeah. Let's call it discussions so that we
not that we have
make sense.
Misunderstandings.
Yeah. So there was a lot of discussions, and usually when there's a lot of, I believe that this is what because we talked about it. Every relationship, every couple, they have a discussion for sure. That's how it goes. Life is always like this, right?
It's two brains, it's two mindsets. Yeah. We need to align 100%. True.
So what happened usually is that these discussions get to ignore how we used to feel as kids from my parents, which is normal. It happens, if there's a lot of pressure in their lives and so on, they neglect how we actually how these discussions affected us. So I'll tell you exactly what happened when there's discussions, usually at home or whatever. I'll talk about me and my brother. My brother get affected in a way that he starts to interfere into these discussions to make everybody calm, to take a side of somebody and so on. I was that type of person who just want to get away from it, and getting away from it was me to go outside or do something that makes me happy, that makes me really
get your mind off it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's one of the things that recently we started to work it out because we defined it, because whenever we had, whether it's in business and especially in relationship, I tend to ignore it, right? I tend to like, okay, it's fine. It'll work itself out, just leave it. It will happen and so on and so on. But that's not the good thing. Even though that it has a positive side, the discussions with my parents and stuff that happened, that I always tend to go, the positive side of it is that I stayed positive, because the discussion for a kid, it's negative vibes, right? It's negative energy. So I always wanted to be replace it with positive energy. So I go out with the kids in the neighborhood, or do something to be happy, to be always positive. And that's me. I'm always positive. And I mean, alhamdulillah, and I hate the stress and the sad and the I hate it.
Person,
I don't like it. So that's the good side of it. So there's always as I said, the coin has two sides. But the bad side of it is that I tend to neglect or ignore or even sometimes face these issues, which something that I have confessed and decided to change, especially having a relationship and being a business, and later on, inshallah, in the future, we'll have kids, right? So
I want to say one thing, because that's why we worked on it, right? Because how I grew up was a discussion is a part of life. It's a misalignment or a misunderstanding. That's how discussions happen, right? So how my mom dealt with it, for instance, when we were children, everyone had to come to the table and had to talk about it from their perspective. And then there were moderators in a way that need to solve it. because you said discussions are negative, and that's what we're working on currently, right? That discussions don't have to be negative. It's the way we look at those things. And attaching the positive thing, and maybe this is something that would have helped you back then, is getting to know your opinion about it.
True.
I think that's so important. Wouldn't you have wished that somebody would ask you, how do you feel when we have these discussions? Yeah. And that's something, I mean, we want to say that here as well. Our parents and our environment tried their best to raise us up with the way they thought it was right.
Yeah.
We will do mistakes. They did mistakes. We can only learn from these things and evolve. There was never an intention to mean anything bad.
True.
And we don't see it like this. But our goal, and I think we can confirm that, is to move forward and to be steps ahead of what our parents might have done wrong maybe as well, and to change it. Because we can only take the change in there, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we're working on.
True.
And we need to work on it, and we will always need to work on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's what will happen, right?
But that's the beauty of it. But one of the things that I had, if I go back and I ask myself that question, like, what are the things that formed me, I believe, is basically a creativity. I would say I was so creative when I was a kid.
Yeah, you drew a lot, right?
I drew a lot.
Yeah.
I used to be really somebody who can draw like.
But wait, weren't you singing or rapping as well?
Well, that's another thing. Yeah, that's the thing. Well, you know, I think I do tend to believe that I do have a lot of ideas, and these ideas come into the point of seeing the effect and the impact of these ideas
100%.
from other people. So I tell you a small. Maybe you don't know this story, but
oh God,
we used to watch Ninja Turtles. You know, these four, Michelangelo, Leonardo, and all of these things. So, and when I was a kid, I don't know, I was like 8 or 9. I wanted to be one of these characters called. I forgot. He wears always. He's the red stripe person or turtle, and. I wanted to get the equipments of this ninja stuff. So I had to make up something from the kitchen and from the wood in the garden and stuff to come up with it and the stripes and stuff, because there's no way that I can wait, and I am that person, I can wait, you know that. If I need 100%. Something, I need to get it now. So I'm not going to wait my mom, my dad, whoever to go and get me that thing. Yeah. And even if it's available, it's going to be, it's a headache, you know? So I was like, I'll do it. And I remember actually going to the kitchen and pick up some knives and some forks and some whatever metal stuff and making these, I think it's called Raffaello or Raphael or something, whatever. He has 2 knives and stuff. So even till now, the things that I do, I try to make sure that it is creative. Not trying to make sure, this is the way I feel about it.
You express it, 100%.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know.
Because I don't know what happened, but maybe this is something as well that it's related to the side of getting away from the discussion, is just get myself into it. And since I was a kid, and I don't say that somebody has to be in a discussion parent life so that they could get creative, but I always not excited. I was always thinking how
of a way.
The way that I could be different and special to let people see. And I always, till today, I always draw some line of thoughts of how people think about me, even if they say it straightforward in front of my face. Like I think about it, like if I met somebody
you trying
new,
to evolve?
Not involve. Like if I met somebody new, I'll meet them, and if they're interesting and stuff, I'll meet them and so on. And like a day or 2 days after that, out of nowhere, I just think about how he or she started to think about me.
Okay.
You know,
the perception they have about you.
Yeah, and then
how do you move on with that?
I just think about it. Moving on, it just comes and goes. Khalas. I just think about it. Why? Because I started to plan my next actions if I see them.
Okay.
So I will be like, if they thought about me being you know, like being a guy who's just when I taken advantage of something, then I had next time if I meet them, my action will be X, so that they will not think about me in that way.
You were evolving still.
Yeah,
Your own self-reflection. You were reflecting yourself, how people saw you,
yeah,
and working on how you want to be seen.
exactly. So that's one of the things, because I think that what happened to me even when I was a kid. I always like to be perceived in a way that I am just a unique kid, you know, and that I have no idea. You're not a psychiatric. You're not shrink. I'm not a shrink, so I don't know why, but it stays there and still there. But the most important thing that I tend to do the things very fast without being perfect, just the way it is, just the
Yeah.
way how it is, genuine. Just do it. And then the effect of it will come later. And that's one of the things that it's related to doing the things really, really, like if I want it, I'll do it now. I don't
Yeah,
care.
it's still
I'm
there.
not going to wait. Yeah.
But now you asked me that deep question. What would you have loved to be different? So I want to ask you as well. What would you wish that would have been different? Or
To be different, I would definitely say nothing. But if I, and this is something we talked about, but if we at some level, um, I would have wished that my environment taught me a lot of skills that I had to learn in a hard way from people around me, from the work and stuff. Unfortunately, the way that most of the people raise up their kids in the community, I would say in the whole world, not just in the Middle East or Jordan, it's just it's normal, you know. I got a kid, he's gonna go to school and so on and so on. And that was maybe back in the day, I'm the 80s generation. Maybe now things are different, but I would have wished if I got recognized by a skill like creativity, and I was being supported by somebody when I was a kid, parents, school,
Yeah.
whoever, into that skill to polish it to, and actually be ahead of time before I was 20. You know,
yeah.
this is something I would have wished. You know,
I
if it comes to the people around me, community, I don't wish that they changed because they made me the way I am now.
it's not about you wish that they would change, but you're trying to get a better person, right? You're
Yeah.
working on yourself. Because what I can hear is that you tried to be unique because you weren't seen.
True.
So my question would be, how would you have wished to be more seen? And you just said it, you wished that people would have saw the talents in you. Like, for instance, me, just to give like my mom, she let me go to theater classes that's why I'm good in communicating as well, because I had to express myself on the stage,
Yeah.
looking at a lot of people. So looking into these things and giving your child the opportunity to find out if this is really something they want to do
Yeah.
and learn their skills with it, right? So that's why I was asking I wouldn't wish that something would have been different, because that's who I am now and I'm thankful for it. But the question is just more, how would it helped you more? You know, that's the question.
It would have helped a lot.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a small, very fast example. When we were kids, my parents wanted me to go and learn karate, karate.
Yeah.
You know, like martial arts and stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't want that. I don't want that. On the other side, at school and everywhere, I used to draw a lot. You know, when I
Yeah.
was a kid, I used to just get into a white wall and just
True.
draw something.
He's still doing it, by the way.
Yeah.
Huh?
And it's good.
All his college blocks, he writes stuff and then he just starts to draw
Yeah.
things. Mainly his name.
And it's super good. I can see that it's super good, really good.
Yeah, it is
But
good.
they were like,
True.
no, we need you to learn martial arts. Well, I didn't want that.
So and we don't mean anything here again, it's just you wish you would have been seen for who you are.
Yeah, listen, when they wanted me to learn
They had
martial
an
arts,
intention. 100%.
It is intention. There's no such thing as it's a bad way.
100%.
But I wish that it will be more different.
Adopted to you.
And listening to what I exactly I
100%.
want.
100%.
Because the parents, I think, usually, and this is what we, and everybody might listen to this as a parent, they think that they know better for their kids because, you know, they're parents. And
They want to do the best,
yeah,
right?
they want to do the best for them. But there's a gap where you actually might, I'm not saying you will, but you might affect a lot of things that might happen when he or she, your kid,
100%.
gonna grow up, you know, like such thing.
Do you remember when I talked about strategy and how it has to do with raising up a child and then adopting the strategy once you see a feedback of your child to
True.
find out what's the right path to go?
True.
That's exactly what it has to be.
Exactly. So it's literally your personality is formed before you're
100%.
before you're 12.
But I want to add and end this podcast maybe in this way, that it's in our hands to do something upon it. It's in our hands to still move forward. It's in our hands, if we had something in our childhood, a trauma, to work on it, to find freedom and peace with the things that have happened, to talk to the people that were involved, to heal, and then get a better person out of it.
Yeah, I would like to as well, and this is maybe the two statements that I live by when it comes to doing anything that I want to do to have a better life, you know. And I'm talking about me, of course, me being into our relationship, our business, and so on. But one thing is that I don't make excuses, I make it happen. And the second thing is, it's all my fault. It's all your fault.
100%.
You know, all my fault. It's me. You know,
I mean,
whether
maybe if fault is huge, but it's you who has to do it, or you.
exactly. But by the way, just when I say it's all my fault, that doesn't mean that it's all my fault. Then I have to be depressed about it and so. No, it's all my fault.
It's
and
all in your
then
hands.
and then you fix it. You see exactly how it
100%.
is, and then you improve it. You just make it better and so on. But I don't make excuses. I make it happen. The second thing, it's all my fault. I have to change it because whatever happened is in your hand. You're adult. You're adult, so you
It's
have
your
to
actions,
change it. Yeah,
100%.
so that's an interesting way to say things. I think,
And I got to know a story that I didn't know. Thank you,
the
guys.
ninja. I didn't remember.
No, I'm
just
just
remembered.
wondering, is there a picture about it?
Yeah, you always ask me, did you remember? I was like, no, I don't remember stuff.
It
But
comes up when you talk, and that's why communicating is so important.
true. I think we're gonna do a lot of podcast
Yes.
shows. I mean, related to the same topic, so that she get to know more about me.
Yeah, well, now let us know how you like that kind of topics as well. Write us on our social media page, on our Instagram page, and it's all in the description below. It's all linked. Let us know what you think about it.
Exactly. So without telling you anything to do, but you need to subscribe and comment.
Yes.
And write us. Let us know exactly what is the next topic that would you like us to talk about. If you like this as well, share it with somebody who would
Exactly.
actually need to hear some stuff that
Or
they
maybe
can
help you
resonate
to
with.
heal as well, right?
True.
Somebody who needs to hear this to move forward and to heal from the traumas that you have experienced.
True. That's it from our side, from Kubra and Moment, the Mubra. And we'll see you in the next one. See ya.
Yay.